12:02. Hello, everybody. It is 12:02 from Cary, North Carolina, near Raleigh. We're on the eastern seaboard, and I am so glad to have you guys here joining me today. It is wonderful. It is a beautiful day outside, even though it's rainy and drizzly here in North Carolina. And we're waiting for a hurricane to come and hit us after we've gotten a week of rain, so it should be some lovely flooding to go with that. Today we're going to talk about growing your business and some proven techniques for growing your business exponentially. I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop now, and hopefully this will work correctly where I can get my PowerPoint up, and hopefully you guys can see that correctly. So we're going to talk today about how to grow your business exponentially, and using proven techniques and the things that you should do that we know for a fact work. They've been tried and true. We're here with leadershipgirl.com is our website, and I am Haley Gray, the founder and CEO of leadershipgirl.com. I hold an MBA from Duke, and I own several businesses of my own, including a senior home care agency, a senior placement franchise, and I currently also do business coaching. So needless to say, I have my hands in business. I've learned it from a theoretical perspective, and I live it day to day while running my own businesses, and I've had to make my own fair share of mistakes in order to be able to learn them. So I think that will help me offer a little bit better perspective and understanding where some of the pitfalls are in business. You need to find your ideal clients. If you're going to grow your business, you have to find clients for that business. And I think that that's one of the pieces that really gets overlooked in a lot of the classes that I've attended and a lot of the posts that I see online. People talk about, oh, well, you just need to find your ideal clients. And people go, okay, well, how do I find them? I know that that certainly has been my biggest question with home care, with senior placement, with business coaching is, okay, great, I know people are out there, and if I get them in front of me, I can sell to them just fine, thank you very much. But how do I get in front of that ideal client and actually be able to sell to that client? And there's a lot of different ways that you can find your ideal clients, and some of them work for some industries and some of them do not work for others. And it may even be that depending on what industry you're in and what geography you're located in, some things may work better in others. For example, Facebook is wonderful for business coaching. It is absolutely not so wonderful for home care. And in fact, we know that other people in other parts of the country do quite well advertising for home care on Facebook. But in this part of the US, that does not work well. To advertise on Facebook, engagement rates are really low. People don't opt into your opt-ins, and it can be really difficult to get people to engage in that manner. LinkedIn is another method for finding ideal clients. If you use it correctly, you'll find a ton of clients, and this may work in your industry or it may not. Building an email list. Now, email lists are gold across pretty much all industries, and they're kind of considered the gold standard. If you get the opportunity to collect somebody's email, and I'm not talking about grabbing their business card and adding them to your email list, but you legitimately either know them and you've gotten permission from them to add you to your email list, or somebody that you've had go in through an opt-in that is added to your email list, these are phenomenal. Building a Facebook group is another great way to find your ideal clients, because you can build a Facebook group with nothing but your ideal clients in it. Networking meetings are another great way to build your business. You have to take the time to do them properly, and you have to follow up with people. And the other way that a lot of people get really scared of, but works super well across many, many industries, is simply cold calling. You call somebody out of the blue and you set up a meeting with them, and it's amazing how much business you can get from doing this if you have the confidence to do it. Um, Facebook. So I'm going to talk about finding your ideal client on Facebook. Now, there are different ways that you can find people on Facebook. You can target your advertising, absolutely. You can get people to like and share your posts, and certainly your family and friends are going to do it, but they're only going to do it for so long. So then the question becomes, okay, so how do you get out there and you get in front of people on Facebook so that you can actually get business from them? And I will tell you that advertising works to some extent, but you have to actually build relationships with people before they're going to know, like, and trust you and be willing to do business with you. So if you're advertising, then things are only going to appear in front of them every once in a while, and you can't target that person over and over again unless they've already liked your page or they have some other form of engagement with you. Facebook has thousands of groups. This is where you will be able to find your ideal client, your ideal customer. People like to hang out in these little groups and make friends because that's how the social life in our society today seems to be going. You can start searching for those groups of people, and you can look for the city name, community information. So for instance, I'm in Cary. I look for Cary community information, Raleigh community information. I look for all the different cities around me, and I try different ones to see where people are the most active and where they have the most the largest number of members. Moms groups, if you're a woman, getting into moms groups can be a phenomenal backbone for your business. I get so many referrals for my home care business out of the Cary and Apex moms groups. It is absolutely crazy. The home care and the placement, because everybody has a parent that they're thinking about, or they have had a parent, or they know somebody who has a parent who needs care. And it's almost always the daughter who makes the decision about what kind of care their parent is going to receive. So those are phenomenal groups for my home care agency. But I've also noticed that if you own a cleaning business, or if you are an esthetician, or you have flooring or painting, or if you provide any kind of service, these are phenomenal opportunities for your business. Moms groups absolutely rock, and people just completely underestimate how much business is done out of those moms groups. You can do a search in the Facebook search bar and do a search on the phrase people who like, and then you can insert whatever that thing, that hobby, that person is into the search bar. And you can also modify your searches in about 20,000 different ways on Facebook. People who like this, who like that, who like the other, or people who are in these groups or those types of groups. And if you modify your searches enough, you're going to start finding those groups that have your ideal clients in it. Now, let me be clear. A lot of times, not everybody in a group is going to necessarily be your ideal client, but if you can find a handful of groups, and I'm not talking about 50, I'm really talking about 5 to 10 groups that have at least a pretty good subset of your ideal client in them, then you're golden. That means you can go in there and you can start hanging around and leaving messages and becoming a member of the group. The other way that you can find people in groups on Facebook is this name of your city and women in business, or entrepreneurs. If you start looking for these kind of key phrases, your city name, women in business, business owners, entrepreneurs of Wake County, start searching on different things that are business, entrepreneurs, community information, those sorts of things, and start trying all the different combinations, and you'll be amazed at how many communities start popping up. And like I said a few minutes ago, once you find that handful of groups to join, move in and make yourself useful. I'm not talking about Move in and start posting immediately about your business. The first thing you should do is move in, say, hi, my name is Haley, and I am a business owner, and I own these businesses. I've got 4 kids and 4 cats, and all my cats are orange. And become somebody that these people can know, like, and trust. And that is super important because people will do business with people that they know, like, and trust. They're not going to do business with some random, like, crazy lady on the internet. They just have to know that they're going to be getting good value, and they have to trust you in order to actually do business with you and fork over the cash for that business. Business is about relationships. Sales is about relationships. The more you get it into your head that anything selling is about building a relationship with somebody and helping people out, the better and the smoother that the whole sales and marketing and business relationship pieces will go. LinkedIn has a ton of groups on Facebook. The thing that is super powerful on LinkedIn is that you can actually search individuals much more easily than you can on Facebook. So in Facebook, you'll kind of get general ideas of groups of people to go join. On LinkedIn, you can actually target individuals specifically. And you can look for industries, you can look for different experience sets, people who are actively looking for jobs, people who are actively looking for contacts, and you can really slice and dice your individuals on a very granular basis. It's actually quite nice depending on the type of business that you're in. For instance, in my home care business, we're trying to get into hospitals. One of the ways that we're getting into them is by leveraging LinkedIn and finding the contacts and contacting people directly. We're getting at them in a way that we would never be able to get at them on any other social media platform. It's tremendously powerful in order to do this. Once you have found an individual, you can either contact them directly using InMail, or you can connect with them and then send them LinkedIn emails. And people generally do respond favorably if they are actually active on LinkedIn. And there are a huge number of people that are tremendously active on LinkedIn. Building an email list. An engaged email list is your golden ticket. If you can build your email list and keep it engaged and engage it consistently, then you will do very well indeed by your email list. That means that you have to send your emails out on a regular basis. It doesn't mean you can send it for 3 months, stop for 2, and then pick it up and keep going. Now, not to say that your email list will be completely dead, but you do need to really focus on building and maintaining those relationships. Like I said before, selling in business is about relationships. So getting those clients off of your email lists and getting them to become paying clients is the most surefire way to putting money in your pocket. It's about relationships and referrals and word of mouth. It's especially wonderful if you have fantastic content in your email lists that people then want to forward and share with their family, friends, and other business contacts, because that spreads the reach of your email list, and it even gets you more people on your list. And people will be much more likely to do business with you because they know, like, and trust you, and you formed that relationship with them via the email list. Now, one of the kind of funny things about email lists is that you really need to make sure that they know what you do and how you can help them and how they can help you. A lot of times, I know I've caught myself in this, I'm very helpful towards people, but people don't always know exactly what I do. They haven't always realized, oh yeah, well, she's a business coach. Of course, I'm sending out all this business information, but it doesn't mean that they realize that, oh yeah, she's business coaching and she wants my business. You also have to make sure that you let them know gently, of course, in a non-pushy way, what you can do to help them, and don't just assume that they can figure it out and connect the dots. You have to connect the dots for them nicely, politely, gently, but you have to really connect the dots with people and be very forthright. Don't expect them to figure any piece or component of it out. I know that this is one that has particularly bitten me in the butt, and I have certainly assumed that people would kind of figure it out, and I know that they don't. Um, Another hint with your email list is that you have to add a lot of value to your email list's lives. If you don't add value, they're going to just flat out unsubscribe from you, leave your email list, and then you're not going to have one. Or you're certainly not going to have engaged subscribers to your email list. So make sure that you're adding value to their lives. Don't be just sending out random junk or everything is about you. No, really, it's about the reader. It's about the person on the end who is receiving your email list, and you want them to get a lot of value so that they want to continue engaging with you. And always keep adding emails to your lists. Email building, list building is and probably should be a focus for the vast majority of businesses. You can do this using your landing pages. You can do it using lead pages. You can do it capturing emails on Facebook. You can capture emails so many different ways. You can even capture email addresses when you go out and you go marketing with people and you ask them, hey, would you mind if I put you on our email list? Now notice that none of this is take somebody's card that you've gotten your hands on, their business card, and start spamming them from your email list. People don't tend to appreciate that very much, and they're really not going to want to hear from you. So make sure that when you put somebody on your email list that you have permission. Otherwise, well, they're going to not be happy with you. The other downside is that here in the United States, at least, you can be brought up for FTC violations. And I don't even want to think about it, but it is many, many, many thousands upon thousands of dollars that you could end up having to pay in fines because you improperly took somebody's email address off their business card they didn't give you permission for, and they started spamming you with their emails. So always be mindful of how you're collecting those emails, but always focus on collecting those emails. It is super important. You will get a ton of clients off of your email list. The other way that you can grow your business, and this one will take you some time and some effort and some energy because it will involve some blood, sweat, and tears on your part. You can create your own Facebook group. Make sure that you're consistently adding value to the group. In my own Facebook group, I put weekly challenges up. I do give out giveaways. I am doing this webinar. I'm making a point of adding value to my clients. I am adding things that people want and they need for their businesses in the group and encouraging them to become active members. I invite lots of people to join. I go out to other Facebook groups, and I also invite friends and families and people that I meet on the street to join the Facebook groups. Also, use that Facebook group as a showcase for what you can do and making a point of helping people to help build that trust. So one example that I can give you is if somebody isn't familiar with Canva and they're not sure about how to advertise, well, you can show them how to use Canva. You can even show them what it can do for them and use that to build trust. They are much more likely to do business with somebody who can show them, here's the value of what I can do. Here's how I'm going to help you out. Here's how I'm going to make your life easier. Here's how I'm going to solve your pain points. And you can show them that you can do it for somebody else, and you can show them that you can do it for them. They will like you and trust you, that you're offering them great value in their life and that you're going to be a problem solver for them, and they will be much more likely to actually sign on and pay you to do your business with them. Now, the most important thing here is that you have to be consistent. If you are going to do a Facebook group, you can't just start it and hope that it's going to go water and feed itself. It requires care, water, and feeding, just like almost everything else in business, and it can require a significant amount of time. That means coming in, hanging out, answering questions, and posting value, and responding to people, and making sure that you're welcoming people into the group and encouraging them to become active members. You have to be present and you have to be paying attention to your group in order for it to be successful. The care, water, and feeding is critical in a Facebook group. The other way that you can build your business, and this one is definitely not an online kind of activity, it's a face-to-face kind of activity. You can find a variety of local networking meetings. You can find them in Meetup. You can find them at your church or religious institution. B&I groups. There are so many women's groups that you've met probably on social media, the moms groups. I can't tell you how many of those groups of women get a group of 10 or 12 women out and we go out to lunch and we're swapping business ideas. It may seem like a simple lunch, but it is absolutely anything but. The one thing I will say as far as going to networking meetings, in my experience, avoid anything that calls itself a lead group. They sound fantastic. Lots of people show up. Every single other person there is in sales and they're looking for you to bring them leads. They are not looking to necessarily bring you leads, although technically they're supposed to. And you're actually unlikely to get any business because you're not guaranteed to be the only person in the room who has your type of business. So they could be handing out your leads to 4 other people, which makes them non-exclusive. And so you're chasing those leads up one side and down the other again and diminishing their value of those leads. I have found personally that the meetup groups, the church, the BNI, and even the Facebook groups and the country club that I belong to, those social groups add tremendous value to what we're able to do. Cold calling. This is the one that I think puts the fear into everybody's heart. People really hear the word cold calling and they just kind of panic and freeze and say, oh, I don't do that. The reality is that it's selling, it's getting out into the community, and it's figuring out who may be of service, who you might be able to help with your services. One example, in home care, we go out to skilled nursing facilities, we go out to hospitals, and we market to them. Now, the first time we go in, we are absolutely cold calling them because they don't know us from the street sweeper out there in the middle of the road. We have to build those relationships with them, and it takes time, and it takes effort and energy. We are cold calling those people because we want them to become referral sources for us because we know that they have the kinds of leads that we need in order to feed our business. Another example is my daughter's Taekwondo instructor who is looking to get referrals from a variety of different schools. Well, she's having to build a list of targets and go out and actually call on those schools and find the PE teachers and offer to say, solve one of their problems, which is getting somebody in to teach a bully defense class or a self-defense class. So she's going out and she's marketing to those people. She's offering them a service and educating them about what she can do as a martial arts instructor and the benefits that it brings to the students. Depending on your type of business, cold calling absolutely can be the most effective way of finding new business. Hands down, no questions asked. In home care, it is by far the most effective way to find new business. You go out, you call on people, and you set up an appointment with them if you can't see them immediately. You may have to do a business card grab and go back and meet with them later. Hands down, this is by far the least expensive way to get in with people, and it is by far the most effective if you can actually manage to do it. You can use Google and LinkedIn to actually figure out who your targets are and who you need to meet with and where you want to go to actually find your clients. Can't recommend this method enough because a lot of people really overlook it because it is the hardest because you have to put yourself out there in front of people and it's a little bit scary. So people tend to not do it. Now, if you want to increase your close rate by over 50%, there's a couple of very simple things you need to do. Follow up. is really at the key and the core of what you need to do. You need to follow up after the initial contact. You need to be kind, nice, polite, solicitous, but you also need to be really tenacious. In the home care agency world, our sales cycles are over 6 months. That means from the time that we cold call on a referral source to the time that we actually start getting referrals can be over 6 months in many, many cases. It takes a lot of time and following up and following through with those referral sources in order to get them to even send us a lead in the first place. Now, once we get somebody, we know that we have to follow up with those clients until they tell us not to call us again, not to call them again, leave them alone. And until they've told us to leave them alone permanently, we actually keep following up, even if they go with a competitor. And that's important because many times people will go with a competitor and decide that, hey, maybe this wasn't the right choice. Maybe I'm not happy. Maybe I'm not getting the service I need or the service I deserve. So if you keep following up with somebody until they tell you to stop, you're much more likely to eventually get the business. And it's that persistence. Don't go away until they tell you to leave. Once you have a contact, unless they tell you to go away, keep following up with them. We had a placement client that we got in as a corporate lead for Care Patrol that we had to follow for over a year in order to get them to move. Now, that's a year. That's a long time. But we did eventually get them to move and get them where we wanted them to go, where they needed to go, where they needed to be placed safely. Sometimes it just takes time and a lot of persistence on our part in order to get the results. And that is key. It's that persistence and that keeping up and following through with people. That will increase your close rate by at least 50%. I've seen numbers as high as 80%. The reality in the placement industry is that if you didn't follow up, your close rate would be 0. And we have quite a bit better close rate than that. Depending on the month, we tend to get at least 4 move-ins a month. So questions. And this is the part of the Q&A that I promised. How can I help you and what questions do you have? Anybody have any questions?
Haley, I do.
Okay. Okay, what's up?
Can you give some examples of business types that would be ideal for like cold calling, and some examples of businesses that would be more suited for Facebook type of marketing?
So it depends on the area and the location. So I can give you an example. Cold calling works really well for things like, believe it or not, legal work. Anything in the senior care industry is almost all cold calling based. If you are selling phone services or you're selling any kind of service or product, many times you get out there by doing cold calling. It is certainly easier, for instance, if you're doing direct sales and you're doing parties, to get more parties off the ones you've already got. But there is certainly that, person number 0 that you have to call on and get to. If you have family and friends, great. But there is a certain point here where you start to exhaust your family and friends networks to try to grow. And so you actually get to that point of going, okay, so how do I figure out what the next step is? And it really depends very much on your location as well. Cold calling here, anything business related, anything senior care related are all very commonly done in a cold calling method. Facebook, I have actually seen used very effectively with most industries. Painters, flooring, house cleaners, doctors, believe it or not. I've seen it done with business coaches. I've seen it done with um, massage therapists. I've actually seen it work very effectively with home care, but not in my geographic area. There is something about my geographic area that's almost like a black hole that you can try all the Facebook you want and all the Google AdWords, etc., and you really get garbage for calls, or you get people that are just not interested in services. Perhaps you get employees. But like if you're running ads on Facebook, you have an opt-in rate very near to zero. So it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
Whereas, go on.
well, I was just thinking that as a health coach, I can't even imagine cold calling saying, "Hey, I think you could use some help."
Right, and you wouldn't necessarily go in and say, hey, I think you need some help. What you would probably do as a health coach is probably much closer to what we're doing in the senior care industry, saying, hey, go into a doctor's office and saying, hey, I've got the service that I'd like to offer to your clients or your patients. And, would you be willing to, let me put out my brochures? Do you ever do referrals to health coaches? Um, Going, approaching gyms and asking them if they ever have people that are interested in health coaches, offering to do, so you'd approach a gym and say, offer to do a free presentation or something, or set up a free educational series. Um,
So that's really
those sorts of things.
that's really more third party cold calling because you're not going directly to the client, right?
Hmm. That
Okay.
is correct. Yeah, so cold calling can either be directly to the client or it can be that third party cold calling. And a lot of industries are going to work really well with that third party cold calling, and then some of them are going to work really well with that directly to the client. And it's going to depend on the actual business and the location of the business. And some of it you just have to try and see what works. Um, and sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. And you have to try a lot of things, but you have to also be persistent about it. Um, and know that, you know, persistence a lot of times will be what really pays off in the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. I will be doing a webinar next week on branding, and I am so looking forward to having everybody join again next week. That one will be on building your brand and establishing your brand. I want to tell you that I really do appreciate your time, and I know that it's valuable. And I appreciate that you chose to spend your time with me together today. Thank you. And the recording for this will be going out as soon as we get off the air. And I wish everybody a fantastic day and stay dry. Take care. Now, if I can turn off the webinar, it will be really good.